What's up, everybody? Welcome back to the Shop Mini RC. I'm Ken, and today we've got something cool. Boom! That is the Hobby Plus, right there, CR18P, as in Portal, Evo. Evo. What does the Evo have? Here's all the features. Check it out there. You can pause it, read it. We'll go over a lot of this stuff. There's the other side. Boom. 2-speed transmission, guys. 2-speed. Which one did we get? Because there's a couple options out there. Let's see. Bam! We got the Harvest. It's the matte metal gray. Matte metal gun? Matte metal gun. Matte metal gun Harvest. Yeah. So let's see what comes in this box. Trucks and stuff. Just kidding, guys. It does not come packaged that way. We already opened this guy up. So we were heading out to go crawl, and this literally showed up on our doorstep as we were walking out. So basically, the delivery guy just handed it to me, and I said, I guess it's going with. And he looked at me and he said, good idea, because he saw my RCs in my other hand. And yeah, so we had extra batteries in our other remotes, you know, because look, it's using this guy. Familiar. Very good. We like it. So we just popped some batteries out of the other truck when we got there after we opened it and threw it in here. Let's talk about it. Let's talk about this thing. It's freaking awesome. I'll say that. Here's what actually comes in there. You got a little screwdriver and your hex and your charger and your manual. We'll open all that up. There we go. CR18P Evo. Boom. All the different features of this awesome transmitter. I'm going to assume it's very similar to the V1 FCX stuff that everybody loves so much. It's a 4-channel receiver, so that's good. You can pause on any of this stuff if you want to read it, but just figured I'd flip through it real quick. Pretty standard stuff. Could probably find a PDF online somewhere. There's the rock van. We got one of those. Boom! We'll show you this. We'll compare it. This is the regular CR18P, the non-Evo. So that way you'll be able to see the differences between the Evo and the regular. There's the T-Hunter. You can see the transmission and stuff right there. Yeah. That 2-speed. So the Evo is available as the rock van, the T-Hunter, and then what we got here, which is the Harvest. We really dig the Harvest. There's all the aftermarket stuff or OEM replacement stuff, plus what other people are already making for it. Pretty slick. All right, well, let's go ahead and dive into this guy. First things first, let's look at this body. I love this body. Now, this body has been around on the other CR18Ps, so it's nothing new. But it's the first time I've seen it in person, and I'm really digging it. I like the roll cage, these light bezels here. Pretty slick. Got some mirrors. Be nice if these mirrors were rubbery. Rubbery mirrors are good because when you hit rocks, they just kind of bend. They don't break. Not that these broke. Like I said, we already ran this guy, so you'll have to excuse the mud and dirt that might be on it. But we did scrape up against some rocks with them. They didn't break. They seem pretty durable. But a little bit more rubbery would be nice because eventually they probably will. Headlights. Cool bumper here. Definitely digging it. I like the look of this body a lot. As far as power wagons are concerned, I kind of wish it had real window wipers versus the sticker part of the window, but that's okay. I mean, there's no complaints there really. Would just be one more cool detail. Body clips, obviously, here. And this guy pops right off. The switch is just kind of double-sided taped on there, and we had popped it off trying to mess with it. Here we go. The lights. Now, this is one thing that we found almost immediately. When we wanted to unhook the lights, they're behind the motor. See that? So you can unhook them, but getting them back in there is going to be a pain. So that is unfortunate. The ESC is in a good spot. Generally speaking, that's where you want it. You want it forward. You want it as low as you can get it, which is what we've got here. You can see under compression, it's close to the upper links, so it's pretty much as low as it can get, which is awesome. But unfortunately, our little light plug is behind this motor. Now, this motor is higher and a little bit larger than the previous CR18P. Let's look at that. I'll bring that guy in. Bam! So here's the original CR18P. You can see it's got this little guy in there. The motor is mounted very low, which is good for low center of gravity, right? That's very good for that, but your links hit when you start to articulate a lot. And yeah, that's rough, especially when you want to do a brushless motor in there or change it up in some way. You're going to have a hard time just because of how low this motor mounts down in there. So on this new guy, look at this. Boom. Much bigger motor. This is a 130, 100 turn motor. So a lot more power than this guy. And it's on a 2-speed transmission now. And that transmission is still pretty compact, low profile. I am digging that. That gives us a lot more space between the links here. And yeah, you're going to be able to upgrade this motor, put a brushless in there, get yourself some a little bit lower ride height. If you want to lower this guy and belly drag it, you'll have the room to do it while maintaining this same transmission with the shift servo and all that sitting right off to the side. Man, all right, we're going to pull this out. I don't know. Let's see here. Okay, so just so we can show you better. Mo better. All right, so let's just start with the wheels and tires. They are the same wheels and tires. They're 1.2-inch beadlocks, so it's nice that they're beadlocks for sure. You can see the screws down in there. Means you can pull these tires off, put new tires on using the same wheels. You can fit 1.0s on there. You just got to stretch them just a little bit, but that's totally fine. But yeah, it's nice that they come with actual beadlocks. The tires seem pretty good. They're they were gripping pretty well. I mean, they're not broken in or anything, but they were doing what they needed to. So I was happy with that. It's coming with a 600 milliamp 2S LiPo, so that's nice. You got tons of runtime. They do mount the battery all the way in the back here. Not necessarily ideal for weight distribution. You could probably mount it right here on top of the motor. Just got to make sure your motor's not getting too hot. Or try to get some sliders made, and you can put it right here on a slider. That would be good. Help offset the weight of this servo here a little bit. Not that the servo's heavy, but it's better than putting it on the same side as the servo, I suppose. This guy comes with that same battery, so that's nothing new there. The chassis rails are the same. It's like an aluminum chassis rail, and they're actually pretty nice. They've got all these different mounting positions. The regular CR18P also has that. So nice that you've got extra mounting positions from the factory to be able to move your links and whatnot. I dig that. All of the links are the same on this guy and the original. So it's a regular 4-link in the rear and like this 3-link with panhard bar in the front. And that panhard bar is awesome because we have a servo on chassis versus servo on axle. Now they do make a servo on axle upgrade kit for this. If you want to move your servo from the chassis to the axle, you can do that. But that panhard bar helps prevent some of that unwanted movement when steering. It helps keep everything nice and straight. Or when you're articulating. Yeah. Just helps keep things a little bit in line, which is good. Then the Evo comes with the aluminum skid plate, which is cool. I kind of wish it didn't have all this design work in there. Just make it nice and smooth. Try to make it, they should have made it a little bit more flat. You know, maybe even, I don't know. You just want it to be nice and smooth so that when you hit rocks, there's nothing to grab on. Like this design here is actually pretty good. Just if it were aluminum, right? So this design in aluminum, it could be even nice to kind of smooth these out a little bit so that it kind of raises up into this, or I don't know. You just don't want it getting caught, right? And so on this guy, not that it's a major deal, but there's those little lines in there and just makes it hard if you're on a rock and you're getting caught on there, right? Drive shafts are the same. Nope, they're slightly different. I'm sorry. So we have a longer drive shaft on this guy on the rear than this, and it's because of the transmission. See that? Without pulling the drive shaft off, let's see if we can measure kind of, we'll go from the end to the end. Looks like it would be right about there to right about there. So we're right at about 70 millimeters from the output shaft to the output shaft on the transmission. Right about 70. And this guy is going to be much shorter. Output shaft to output shaft is right at 50, 58, 59. Yeah, I'd call that 59. So 11 millimeters difference as far as the drive shaft is concerned when it comes to output. The front actually looks like it's just about the same on both. Let's see here. That's hard to tell because, you know, I'm not pulling the drive shafts out, but let's just say from here to here, right at about 45. Yeah, about 45 as well. But it is interesting, they go to the opposite sides. But again, that has to do with it all being a 2-speed, which is awesome. A lot of people say that, you know, 2-speeds aren't needed in crawlers, but really this is more of a trail truck. And when these guys are as well priced as they are, and you can check out the pricing on FairRC, we'll have a link down below. FairRC is one of the best places to pick up this stuff. They're fully supporting Hobby Plus, and they've got upgrade parts and all kinds of really cool stuff. And they're growing fast, great customer service. I can't really say enough about FairRC. They're doing an awesome job for the hobby. And yeah, they've got killer prices on these guys. And my point is, when you've got a well-priced truck like this, it brings a lot of newer people in, and newer people pick up these trucks as kind of their first experience. And having a 2-speed for a new person is awesome. When you compare it to like the Traxxas, when you buy the Traxxas, unfortunately, the gears it comes with, they are not good for crawling. I mean, you really cannot crawl with the stock gears out of the box. It's just not enough torque. It's kind of too fast. It's great for a trail truck, but you can't crawl with it. And if you put the crawl gears in it, it's so slow that you cannot walk alongside it. It just moves way too slow. So having a 2-speed with a brushed motor is awesome. Just like the FCX24, they both slow crawl really well, and you'll see this. And they've got good wheel speed. You flip them into second gear and you can trail it. It'll go faster than you can walk, which is awesome. So I really love the 2-speed. Now, in a hardcore dedicated crawler, do you want a 2-speed? No, it's extra weight. You're never going to really use the second gear. You're always going to want to be slow crawling. And a lot of times in those hardcore crawlers, you end up going brushless anyway. So you kind of have the best of both worlds a little bit, but you're also spending a ton more money then. And, yeah, it's a dedicated crawler though, right? So these guys out of the box are good for both slow crawl and trailing, which is awesome. And imagine if you put a brushless on there. It would be even crazier with the slow crawl in the low speed and the trailing in the second speed. So that'll be cool. At some point, maybe someday we'll do that. Unfortunately, this does not have a channel 2. It's only got a channel 1, 3, and 4. No channel 2, so you will have to swap out electronics. I really wish more manufacturers that did the 2-in-1s still gave you the port for the channel 2, just so you could swap over to a brushless system really easily and maintain your same transmitter. A lot of people don't want to swap out their transmitters. I especially don't, because I have a lot of trucks and I like to let people borrow trucks. And if I have all my trucks on 1 or 2 transmitters, I can't exactly loan out a truck if it's on the transmitter I'm using. So having the stock transmitters usable with the brushless system is huge. And unfortunately, this guy doesn't do that. But it is what it is. Most ready-to-runs don't have that channel 2, but the ones that do, I really appreciate it, and I think a lot of people out there do. So Hobby Plus or FlySky, that's who makes these. FlySky is the manufacturer of the electronics here. Produce us a good ready-to-run with channel 2 available. I think people really want that because there's so many good brushless setups out there now. We want to use the stock remote and the stock receiver. We just want to go brushless. So there's the FCX, and I can't remember if this is for the shift on the transmission there. I think it's for the shift because I think the front has a metal gear for the steering servo. Either way, it's the same size as that. Here's a Emax. Emax will mount right up. No problem there. So that's good. I don't know if the spline count is the same, but you can always make it work. Just take down your stock servo horn and make it super short so that you can get your shift servo in there if you ever needed to replace it or wanted to upgrade it for any reason. And then same thing's going for this guy, and this looks like it's a plastic gear on the servo as well there. Can't really see in there. Maybe we'll look. Here, let's look. One thing of note, all of the screws on this guy are Phillips heads. There's no hex screws. I really do wish that they used hex screws, but I understand. There's limitations, again, especially at the price point. So it is a plastic gear there. Again, it's a shift servo, not a big deal. The steering servo is where it's more important, but it's also a plastic servo gear there. So just be aware of that. When I was driving it, the servo seemed really good. So it's definitely better than like a stock SCX servo. The stock SCX servos are so weak, but this guy seemed to have plenty of power. So there's no reason to upgrade this until it completely goes out for some reason. But looks like you can put a regular Emax in there or an upgraded servo, like an OGRC or something will go right in there. An SDRC, any of those guys, Reefs, all the names. So this guy is all metal gears. Okay, so all metal gear transmission, all metal gears in the portals. So that is super nice. Let's go ahead and pop off. Should we do the front? Let's do the front. We're going to go ahead and pop off a wheel and open a portal so you can see what the inside of the portal looks like. Again, they make all kinds of great upgrades already for these guys. Hobby Plus has some metal and brass upgrades, so just keep your eye out for those if that's something you're looking for. All right, there we go. There's the portals. And there we go, there's CVDs, so that's nice. They're not dog bones. There's all of our metal gears. They are nice and greased up in there. Everything is bushings though. So bushings are a blessing and a curse. The nice thing about bushings is that you can run them in the water and they don't get rusted, right? If you have bearings and you run in the water, you have to dry them out. You got to put grease in them. You got to clean them. You got to maintain all the bearings that get wet, because if you let a bearing get wet and you don't, it will rust, and that's a bad day. So the bushings basically are zero maintenance, which is really nice. But they do add a little bit of resistance to any of the rotating things in the bushing. It's not going to be quite as smooth or resistance free. It's smooth, I guess that's the wrong word, but resistance free as the bearings would be. And when you're putting this guy back in, you just got to make sure your little axle pin is completely flush. Otherwise, it's not going to go. You also got to spin it until it keys into the pumpkin here. And there we go. All right, so there's that. I guess the next thing we can open is the axle here and see what the ring and pinion looks like. Now, when you do open this stuff up, make sure you don't over tighten. When you're closing it all back up, over tightening it will cause some binding. This one seems to be okay. On some portals, it definitely is affected more than others, but you always just want to check, make sure you don't feel any binding. You can see we can move it. We're not really putting much onto it, and it moves just fine. So that's good. Let's pull off the rear. We'll pull off the rear so we don't have to deal with all the steering linkage. It is nice that they include the screwdriver and that little T-hex wrench, whatever. Basically gives you everything you need to completely disassemble and work on the truck, which is very cool. Actually, you know what is interesting? The ball joints on the shocks are a hex. They're a Allen wrench. Oh no, this ball joint here as well, and this. So any of the ball joints are a hex head. So I guess you can't completely work on it without a hex head there to pull out the ball joints, but you can do a lot of the work, which is good. Again, I just like to keep the new guy in mind. Bam. So there we go. All metal in there as well. And I can see that the pinion down in there is also metal. Very nice. I do wish this had the axle similar to the FCX, where you could kind of clock the portal housings on the front and the rear, the C-hubs and the portal housings, but it does look like they key in. There's two screws right here, and that keys into the axle. So your C-hub is one position there, no adjusting it, at least not easily. One thing that is cool about this type of axle design, though, is they could come out with a straight axle that would help narrow it, and you could put a smaller body on it if you were looking to do a smaller body with a narrower wheelbase, or you wanted straight axles. You could literally just pop the C-hubs off, and they could have a new C-hub and new end cap, I guess, for the rears that would allow you just to have a straight axle. So that would be really cool if they, at some point in the future, released that. It would change your gearing a little bit, but with the 2-speed, it shouldn't be too bad. So that would be nice. Could be fun, cool upgrade. But also bushings there, and yeah. Overall, though, guys, again, Hobby Plus definitely is stepping it up when it comes to features and quality. All metal gears is a huge upgrade, which is awesome. I'm sure they will have bearing kits, or if not already, I'm not too sure if they've got bearing kits or not. I mean, I'm sure somebody out there has the bearings you need, but just being able to buy a single bearing kit, throw it in here, would be ideal. So if they don't have that, hopefully they will. I like that on the hexes here, I could tighten them down real snug and they don't bind. So that's nice. It just means that the axle pin is actually sitting, well, the hex is sitting on the axle pin versus pushing into the bearing or the bushing. So that means you can pretty much tighten it down really snug and you never bind. So that's nice. I dig that. A lot of times on some of the other trucks, you have to kind of shave down your hex hub just a little bit, where kind of the edges, or it's kind of like a nipple on there. You can kind of shave it down and it prevents the binding, lets you tighten it down more, but then you have the risk of introducing slop, whereas these guys, they're already where they need to be. So that's nice. Another thing that I like is that the drive shafts have a metal ball joint. So that's nice. The actual universal is metal in there on all parts, so that's good. I think the first thing you would probably need to upgrade on this guy, just being honest here, might be the shocks. These shocks, actually, I mean, for what they are, just being straight up friction shocks, they're not horrible. The springs seem okay. They're a little bit stiff. Again, it depends on how heavy your body is, though, and how much weight you're putting on it, but they're a little stiff. But again, it's really, for a trail truck, it's perfect. But if you're trying to do a little bit more hardcore crawling, you know, some oil-filled shocks would be huge. So that would probably be my first upgrade, some oil-filled shocks, and then probably be good for a while. I'm really a fan of servo on axle. Just getting that weight onto the front axle is huge. So that might be another one I would consider. But this setup seems pretty good for a servo on chassis. This seems like a really good servo on chassis setup. Yeah, and I love that you've got all these different mounting points for the shocks straight out of the box. So if you want to lower it or get yourself a little bit more articulation or raise the truck, put bigger tires on it, you definitely can do that. So that's pretty awesome. This ESC, by the way, is like fully featured for lights. Even though this truck only has the one plug for the lights, the front and rear, they're basically just an on and off. On your channel 4, you just hit channel 4, it turns them on and off. But on this guy, we have signals and reverse lights and all that stuff on the rock van. So I don't know if all of the Evos are going to be just a simple light setup. I know on this one it is, and on our rock van, we've got 3 plugs. So maybe the rock van itself, as an Evo, will come with all the different lights. I'm not sure on that. We don't have the Evo rock van. I kind of assume that they're going to use the same body and light kit on the Evo, so the rock van more than likely will have signals and will have reverse lights and all that using all 3 ports of the light setup. Whereas this guy just has the front and rear as a single harness. Okay? Either way, very nice that you have light control on the remote. The Traxxas doesn't even have that. You can't turn off the lights on the Traxxas TRX4M. It's all just on, or you unplug them. So, and I guess there's a switch on the ESC on the truck that you can change it, but who wants to open up the truck to change your lights? Come on, guys. So very cool there. So one thing I wanted to show real quick before we leave is the ESC ports, essentially. You can see all the different ports. These are all different lighting ports. There's a bunch of them: headlight, turn signal, fog light left, LED, headlight interface, number 10. It's a headlight interface as well, so it looks like there's 2 headlight interfaces. Anyway, we were plugged into the most inside one, which is technically a fog light interface. But I went ahead and plugged it into one of the 3 ports just on the top 2, which is the headlight interface. So basically this guy here, number 4, and then right there is the ground. So it's ground, and then number 4 is headlight interface, and then number 5 is the right turn signal interface. So if you're using signals, it's not going to work, but you can just plug it into the ground and number 4, and it'll give you on your channel 4 here on, brighter, and then another one that doesn't do anything, another one, and off. So it's a 5-mode deal. And of course it doesn't do anything with turn signal wise, but at least you have the lows and the highs, which is nice. When you put it in the fog light, it's just on and off, but it's you still cycle through 5 switches, but you only get on and off. At least now we get the brights and the lows, which is very, very cool. So just keep that aware. Also, it's easier to access, right? You can see right there, much easier to access, to pull it in and out. So yeah, quick little changeover, and I dig it. Go ahead and turn this guy on. We're probably going to remount where we have our on and off switch. I think I might put it like on the side here, just so it's a little easier to reach when the body's on. When it's on top, it's kind of hard to reach. That's why it ended up popping off, because we were pushing on it trying to get it to undo. I think we're going to mount it right here though. Or we could even mount it like this, right? Just we're on here, depending on how much body space we have. Yeah, we'll see. We'll figure it out. Sorry for the floppy switch though. All right, so you do have a neutral. Your channel 3 is your shift. So you can rev it up at people. Be like, oh, ready, set, go. But there's our first, there's our second. Look at that wheel speed, man. And then your first. And you can slow crawl. Look at that. Got really good clearance in the front. Your approach angle is really good on this guy. And then, of course, like I said, 2-speed it rips. I mean, can't show you here, but she goes. So that's fun. Like I said, I like that we have the neutral. What's really good about this setup is you can actually put your transmission on your channel 4, and I did this on the FCX. Maybe I'll post a link to the video. And I did this on the FCX, but you can swap your servo for your shift to your channel 4, and then it's a button press and hold. You hold, and you'll switch from left, hold again, switch to right on your servo, and that'll shift your gear. So it'll be full left and full right, no center, so you won't have neutral anymore. But now you have your channel 3 with left, right, and center to do rear steer if you wanted to do rear steer. So that's awesome that is set up with 4-channel, and you're able to shift on your channel 4. That will be sweet for anybody wanting to do rear steer and have their transmission. One thing I noticed, which is very odd, there's an output shaft here, and I'm not sure what for. I was hanging out with 3Flow 9. That's where we were going to go crawl when I had this thing, so I brought it with. And he said maybe it's to hook up your lawnmower. You know, old tractors have output shafts, so you can hook up a lawnmower to it, or different farming equipment hooks up to your output shaft. Kind of what that's like. Or if somebody wants to get crazy, one of his suggestions was you could put an output shaft straight out the back and have a propeller and do a boat car or a boat truck. Yeah, buddy. Yeah, I don't know what that's for. I don't know why there's another output shaft there. It's probably just part of the manufacturing process. I thought maybe the type of gear they needed in there for the shifting was only available with an output shaft, so they just cut a hole and put the output shaft there versus manufacturing a whole new gear. I'm not sure. Either way, somebody could do something creative with that. Maybe you could run something up into the body and do some cool scale feature that spins. I don't know. If you had, if it was on the other side, you could almost do like a fan blade or something on the hood. I don't know. Anyway, guys, I just found it interesting.
A few moments later.
And bam, you can see how we did the power switch now. I tried to put it a little bit higher on the servo, just a little bit, a couple millimeters, so that it's not going to hit no matter what, but it's sitting on the servo. Nice and accessible. Boom. Yep, I dig it. Well, I hope you enjoyed watching me run this thing as much as I enjoyed running it. It's a fun little truck for sure. And man, get some upgrades on here, some heavier wheels, some new tires, you know, your shocks, a couple little things that you do on just about every single truck out there. And it's going to be killer. The 2-speed is just too much fun. It's so fun to just be able to trail it and then be able to go, okay, let's climb this rock and just go real slow. Again, it's just too fun. It's fun for sure. So we're excited to see the Rock Van version as well as the Trail Hunter or T-Hunter version. Yeah, we might end up getting another one. Depends on what we're doing. I kind of want to turn one into a kind of a compy type truck. I don't know. Maybe we keep one as a class 1. Could be a great class 1. We'll see. All right, guys. We've got a contest going on. Make sure you try to find that contest video. I'll link to it down in the description below so you don't have to look too hard. But we're giving away a free Ready to Run. And you can choose what it is. You can get this or anything else that's within the range that we outline in the video. Also, definitely check out our swag down below. That helps you in the contest, as well as our channel memberships, where you get to view all of our videos with no ads before anybody else. So definitely check that out if you want to help support the channel. It's a huge help for the channel. Helps us keep bringing you the new product, guys. So make sure you like, subscribe, share, and hit that notification bell, and get out there and build something awesome. Make sure you check out the parts and the offerings that FairRC has. They're going to have these guys up. And yeah, they're awesome for the community. They're doing a lot of community outreach and helping support comps and sending out prizes and stuff. And yeah, they're just killing it. So definitely support them and pick up your new Evo from FairRC. We'll put a link in the description below there as well. And yeah, speaking of community, get out there and build a community. Build a course to run your trucks on. Build a car or truck to run on those courses. And then get out there, smash it, crash it, and bash it. But don't break the expensive parts.